next item here is 1972 right-of-way buildings on the Northern Division.
Yeah.
You know, we look over at Murph's display of all the stations, and of course, the main thing in the town was going to be its station, because, you know, the town to be proud of its station, and it would often be overbuilt.
Every town had a railroad street or a depot street.
Yeah, and
Except St. Albans.
that was the headquarters, so anyway, like Sylvan Models came out with some models of Grand Trunk Western section houses, and there are very similar ones here on the CV. That curtain can be taken down, John, you know, just because it was down when we walked in. So where the slides came from was Steve Bumley, and I happen to know that as he worked his job, and he was a salesman, and he'd go from town to town to town. Well, it was very convenient, you know, when he got through making his call, just to slip over and see what was there in that town. And so his plan came together to take pictures of the section houses in each of these towns. So this is what we're going to see. This is one that's in Milton. Of course, it's a pretty standard design, because on the right, you'll see where they would set the section car in, and then there would probably be a desk and whatever for
And a potbelly stove.
for what?
Potbelly stove.
Yeah,
Because I used to be in the wintertime and
yeah, you got your stack there, and then it looks like something was built on for people's convenience. And so this is a fairly standard design. You also see another little storage building off on the right, which may have been for gas or oil, which should be stored. And the thing was, I remember in the morning that they would, you know, broadcast the lineup around 7 o'clock. And so the guy with the head of the section would be in there getting this, so he would know when the trains were coming. So there wouldn't be a repeat of the situation like when they were up also in Milton, and the Hardwick and Woodbury Shea came down, and they heard it, and they jumped off and waited for 10 minutes until the Shea got by them type thing. So you wouldn't have a repeat of something like that. Okay, this is Milton, as I said, and this is in 1972, but this is what was left. Next. This is the Essex Junction, and I don't think they set the section car inside in this particular type, and you can see this. What? Oh.
Just make a better door than window.
You want to stand over here?
I don't know,
Stand right here.
By the podium.
We can hear you there.
How's that?
They can hear you there.
All right.
That was dislocated in essence, of course, from the station.
So this one is out of use, of course. You see the boarded up windows like that, but then you can also on the right. Okay.
You know, there was a station that was in State Line, Massachusetts, Connecticut, that looked a lot like that section house.
Yeah.
A small station could look like that too.
I have the plan for the standard section shade, looks like that at home.
And it's just like that?
Yeah, it's like that. If you
Okay.
go back to the first, you built one, and have
It was
the
located in relation
roof on the
I
side.
don't know that.
Oh.
Well, I think it's right there where the junction switches, but that's,
Well,
that
all right,
building in the
let's
back.
go on to the next one, which is also Essex Junction.
Yeah.
You can see that, you can locate it more there.
That's behind the Lincoln in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody said it's behind the Lincoln Inn.
Yes.
Okay. And it's another little variation of that design. Okay, next. And this is right across from the station. It seemed like almost it was built in the time that I was working up there, but it's a modern, you know, galvanized siding and that type of thing. So I don't recall, they would take the trucks and park them up to it, but I don't know, that middle door kind of escapes me on that. Okay, next. This also was in Essex Junction. And it looks a lot like the first one, but it's not. And of course, you had to maintain the line into Burlington, you had to maintain the main line, and then there's, of course, there's switches and different things to maintain, so it took people to do it.
Why?
Next. Okay, that's, I don't think it's this first one, I think it's the second one.
That's the Burlington branch.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
off the Burlington, that's the
Freight house.
lumberyard there.
But the other thing is, I think that's the freight house.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah, on the
That's the one
left.
that kids had a fire on and burned it quite a few years ago.
Oh, it did burn down?
Yes, they had a kid
Oh,
burned the
okay,
plant
I wonder what
and
happened.
started a fire.
Because I took a picture of it in the late 60s, and I knew it was still there. I thought it had something to do with Flanders or whatever.
Well, when I was there in the 1950s, it was still being used by the railroad.
Okay?
There's a section house looking car on the left there.
Trailer, yeah.
They'll be-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next. And it's a different view, the same thing.
That's all the parking lot.
So that's a different building, the one on the right here, that's for sure. It's still railroad. Okay, there it is.
Looks like it had to take off the car there. You can see the way the door is cut out at the bottom.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a lot of room to.
No, but open up the doors and fit over the rail, swing it up, and the car goes.
Yeah. Okay, next. Well, here's that same one, the galvanized siding they built. And that was right across from the station. And,
I think that's like.
they didn't need the police to guard that. They had plenty of help from beyond.
Quiet neighborhood.
Thank you. And the signal is interesting too. It's not the usual CV signal, but it was built later on. So, and it's high enough so you can see it coming down.
But back in the same place, the original one was on the back of the train shed. They had on the east
Oh,
side of
that's
the train
right.
shed is back there.
The original train
Yep,
shed.
yep. And then there was one hanging inside the train shed over the main line, where the trains coming down the main line could see it.
Yeah. But this is, okay, yeah. All right, next. Okay, I think this one is at Richmond. And this is more typical, but I mean, it still looked like one of the others. You've got a call box there on the side. You've got a people's convenience station in the back. You've got the, the rails going in to, when you take off the section car to put it away. I think this would be more typical. But, okay, next. And that also is in Richmond. So it must be, it must be another one. It's not the same one that we saw. And that's, I think that's the rails here in the foreground. But it didn't go in, for storage purposes. And then to the right, you see for a place to store gas and oil and that type of thing. Okay. This one is in Jonesville. And it's again, we've seen that same design, but it's more like the Silver Models one in HO. Okay, we get to the next one. This is down here at Montpelier Junction. And it's interesting to me because at one point, they moved the section house from Northfield up to here and put together with that one. So you had a much bigger section house.
Looks like this place is for 2 game cars too.
Yeah, it does. They're two main cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are their company car?
God, it almost looks like 2-foot gauge,
Yeah.
No. Okay. Next one, this is down at Braintree. And when we had a convention in Randolph, we went up to Braintree, and this one has been built into a garage. And he recently passed away about a year ago, but it's still there. And what they did, they put an addition on the back and painted it, looks good, and, Braintree was like the place in itself. To the point where it had a bar in town, and some guy stumbled out of the bar, and he fell on the tracks, and that was the end of it. So, it's almost like the usual story you read in the 1930s Railroad magazine. Okay, on down to Randolph. This structure is there now, and I think it's housed like a water tower. And the 8081, of course, when it was running the White River Switcher, came up one day and they were low on water, and so they decided to put cold water into it, and it didn't go that well with the block on the engine. And so I guess even when it got down to K&L feeds, there was still a problem. So where it's sitting now, as we saw last year, it's whatever mechanical problem isn't bothering you now. The one I remember was further up north up the tracks. And of course, the track at this point in Randolph goes east and west. And the one further up was a much bigger structure. It had the rails to set the hand car inside. It had the desk and the whole thing. And of course, the section crew would come together after the day's work about 20 minutes before quitting time. And I knew that. So in 1966, Dick Stelling was running for governor, and I took him around, and there was one guy in that section crew, this Sid Bradley, who was always mouthing off about him and mouthing off about other political candidates. So I said, I had just taken him a tour through the furniture factory there, and I thought, it's right there. So I said, Dick, come on over. We'll go up to the section house and have a chat with them. There might be 4 potential votes there. So here we walk in, and Sid starts in, and boy, Snelling just put him down, and it's like, okay. And so we left, but anyway, it was kind of a funny incident. Let's see, now of course you've got the New England Central sign on there. They used to store their signs in there, and of course I've always managed to come up with signs for wherever we're at up on the Northern Division, and that's why, because living in Randolph, I would stop in and say, well, what do you got for signs? And signs weren't anything they were going to say. So. And the freight house, of course, has been converted into a headquarters for Stagecoach, which is our local bus company. Okay.
Well, that freight house, is that the original station?
Yeah.
That was
Yes,
moved
it
across,
was.
right?
And they moved across the
Got built
tracks,
to Brigham.
which is amazing. Back in those days, they would take big buildings and move them distances.
Right, yep.
And as a matter of fact, I think when he rebuilt that, he rebuilt it to look like the original station
Yes,
with all the
because
dormers that are on there,
Right.
to be able to get the historic grants. This is hitched on to the station, but what it really was a baggage. In other words, a train would pull in. I remember, I ran the train up to South Royalton, and they stopped, and they took the baggage out, and they put it in the little one that's just like that down there, and then proceeded on. But somehow the station wasn't open, and it was like they weren't going to, open it or whatever to put the bags in. But I would think the bags would be with the person. So it must be newspapers, it must be other things that needed secured storage. This was sort of late in the game, because they closed the other one up there by the furniture factory and then came down here, as you see with the 2 rails. The station was all fixed up. In 2004, when we were down there, it was in the process of being fixed up. And now it's gone through 2 or 3 business ownership changes. And it's very nice inside, a lot nicer than it was, that's for sure. Okay. This one is down in Sharon. And you know, there was a cute little station down there years ago, but I don't know, I don't know, with a single door like that, it doesn't exactly look like a storage space for tools and stuff. Next. And that's another color shot of it. Looks like there's a siding in there, which of course years ago there was the house track in there. Okay, next. This is down in Hartford. And of course it says no smoking. And if any kind of ash, live ash caught this building, I mean, it's gonna go up in smoke. But on the other hand, I'm sure it was a storage facility, again, for gas and oil and flammable liquids. But I don't know how many years more lasted after this picture.
No smoking, there was a kidney.
Oh, wow. What a life siren is. Okay, next. And here's, evidently, later on, they did build another storage facility for the gas and oils.
Now this is where you said, Hartford?
Hartford.
Okay, so it was on the east side of the track, because that's the hill, it went down below, so that building was got knocked down by the big flood they had last year.
Yeah.
Down River Road, they call it.
Oh, that's the hill,
Yeah,
okay.
maybe that's, they're on the
Yeah.
east side, the Connecticut, the river would be beyond the White River is beyond the,
Okay. Of course, Hartford Station, where that was
was
is
on the other
different
side with the freight
than,
house. too.
like West Hartford or White River. So, gee, it looks like they even painted this building. Okay.
CVRHS.
Next. This is at West Hartford, and I don't know, I think it's there. I don't know how much use it was getting, especially with an open door like that. Whatever was in there, I'm sure was gone. So, okay, moving on to White River Junction. And that's like north of the station. And that's that, again, that design.
Right next to the
Maybe
tucker
it's a
pump.
little bigger, you know, than the regular design that we've seen before.
Is that
I
near
don't
the
know
tip
if
top?
that's an old boxcar down beyond
Yeah.
it. It looks like some of the 8,000s or something.
Is that
Depending
near
on the
Tip Top?
bakery spur or the Woodstock run.
That would be over here,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
over against the hill where the Woodstock came up.
yeah.
This one was to the left, far left, wasn't it?
Way left, yeah. Went up the hill there by 104.
Next.
Train is still there.
Okay, this is just north of the bridge there. And
My part.
it looks a little bigger, more accommodating for people. And then you've got gas and oil tanks. And what are the, I don't know, maybe at one time, they were able to gravity flow unloading the gasoline or oil. I know that happened in Randolph, but of course eventually it became illegal because it was deemed not safe. Okay, next. Okay, this may be another shot of the same one. You see the 55-gallon drums of oil. Of course, you oil your frogs and things like that. That's right at milepost 15. Okay, next.
Oh,
And this is up by the engine house. This is a hose house. Of course, it says hose on it. And I suppose we bought the hose out there in case there's a fire. And you could have it right there to put it out. Next.
Ironic.
And this is interesting, it shows the structure underneath. And you've got the fuel oil tank for the stove.
He's
And
standing on Bridge Street, Billy,
right there.
looking up at the, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a picture taken from Bridge Street, looking at it from that, from this side over here.
So the road is just before this?
And your Bridge Street is right here. Where the
Okay.
road's underneath. and
Standing on the road.
it was right there. You walk up an embankment now, it's really steep, and you find out it's the same embankment.
I suppose there are advantages to having the roof of a shape like this, but we've seen it on different sizes at the section houses. And it's a nice design, I thought. Okay, next. Oops. All right, this is another section house evidently in White River. And it looks like it's gonna be sectioned for something else.
It looks like it's down by the underpass, Bill.
That was taken though in May 1977. Okay, and the last picture,
Oh, boy.
this obviously is a station, but they built this section here, you see that white truck, and originally it was to store, you know, the mail carts and Railway Express carts and like that in there. So now it's wide open. Of course, the station is owned by the state, and so they kept it up, but on the other hand, I think Chuck and Chris sort of had to remind them, you know, if they're going to get historical grants to do it or that type of thing, that they've got to keep it the way it was originally. And originally, of course, it was open.
That picture is taken from where the diamond would have been, the CP and B&M
right.
prospect there.
Yeah. And where this car is, it's like the beginning of parking for Amtrak. And years ago, they used to have those lights, you see, all the way around the station. They're very nice, they're very big. I was working on one time and fell off in my hands, and I went over backwards, and the Springfield terminal guy said, "Boy, I didn't realize you could fly." And I said, "Well, I really can't," and I broke my ankle. And I don't know, if you see I'm not going to mention it.
Oh, yeah, it's there. It's here.
Okay. On
Hasn't been sold.
the right-hand side here was where the Railway Express was, and that was a big business. And at the end of Railway Express, for instance, I ship Railway Express a lot, and, you know, get on the train, or they'd had a truck at that point, and it would bring it down to be consolidated, and then it would be trucked out. So this must have been after '66, after discontinuance of passenger service. Okay, well, that's it. I think. Well, boy, that's kind of impressed.
That's 70 something? On the
Yeah.
Upper top, 72?
Well,
Probably.
give me another one.
I'm thinking settling. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Now, is there a significance to the numbers as far as where they were assigned to? Like, what's yours, John?
I don't know what number mine was.
Oh, I see, okay, but I know they went in the hundreds.
Well, that's how they kept track of them, and most of the time, that's just how
The
they kept track of
interesting
them.
thing,
You get out of call on the radio, the dispatcher, you get a track car 86,
Okay, yeah.
TC 95,
Yeah,
CD.
but they used to be, the car was owned by the railroad, but the motor was owned by the section foreman.
yeah.
He supplied the motor for it, he owned it.
You
Yes.
know, what's interesting to me is that
He
building
took
in
care
the
of it very
background.
much.
I'm wondering
He had
if
to
this is
buy it and take care
Mooresville
of
or
it.
something. I don't think that's the same.
Yeah, that's
railroad.
Morrisville, they got.
Yeah, okay.
What it looks like. See the, look on the side of it, you see the round hole?
Probably were, yes.
Yeah, I bet that is, oh, they probably had a lot of them.
Well, yeah, it's one more thing to say.
Steve was over there,
Yeah.
Steve was over there all over.
Yeah. Well, gee, give us another picture.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Second house in the
That must be White
White
River.
River again.
Oh, that's the way they would haul the rails around with the trailers.
So we used to,
Get out on the line with them. And, but it must have been quite a load. I mean, most of those, I think, were single lungers.
Yeah.
And there was some four-cylinder, but,
yeah, those were,
yeah,
the one I had was a 6-cylinder Ford 300.
well.
You do over 100 miles an hour. I'm serious, it was. They had to change the carburetor from Montreal because they would cruise.
Yeah.
They did cruise 3 sheets to the wind with it. It'd take us an hour to go from Blueberry to Burlington. That's
Really?
rolling, that's rolling with that
Yeah.
dumpy on the back, that's rolling. That's rolling right along with the dumpy on the back.
My God, the special train there last fall, it took us 2 hours.
Joe wasn't driving.
No, I wasn't.
Well, okay, how about another?
All right.
Okay.
Where's number 100?
I guess they would do 100.
Well, I'm wondering if that's White River. I don't know.
Yeah, there's the oil tank on the back.
Yeah, that might be, yeah, probably, or, yeah, let's get a close up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with the 3 windows. and the-
1974.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go to the well one more time. Oh, okay, so that's, because that's the school over there in the background. And, I don't know what they're hauling.
Probably ballast, to the drive.
Okay. I don't see many rough edges there, all- they're pretty smooth.
And they just need a dirt bike.
Yeah.
So there's no ballast on there.
There's actually one inside too.
Yeah, there's one more car. That car there is actually a game car, that's got a bigger engine, that's not a 100. That's probably a
Okay.
flathead, that's a bigger car right there.
Okay, so would you say that's a 4-cylinder?
Yeah, I'd say that's a
Okay.
flathead Ford. That's a bigger one.
Well, one more time.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops. Yeah, that's, this is probably White River.
See, that's what happens when you go.
And,
Now,
somehow stuff's lined up there.
Is that yours, John?
no, you went 120.
Well, the other line.
That's a Carter. Well, the one time there was 3 of those, the Hodgkin brothers in Swan, I think, Doc Kendall has them now. There was also some set up behind the engine house at
Yeah.
the gas station there.
And the one I came from up there at the salvage yard.
It did, that was one of those Hodgkins.
Yeah.
It was a big one
Well,
up there.
one more time. This is amazing.
East Albert.
This is East Albert.
Yeah.
And of course, that was like station structure, but really it was an old boxcar. And,
I'm the last man to copy a train order there.
yeah,
I copied a train order there. I was the last person.
yeah.
Try that.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Is that your car, Jim?
Uh,
Is that a Mercury?
no,
That's right. Well, okay, let's see, let's,
That's where business was 391.
yeah, it's got a pile of ties. What
Outhouse.
else?
The outhouse with double,
Pile of something.
with double hole outhouse.
Wow, fancy.
Yeah. No waiting.
Two windows, two Next,
You sure? It's something may come up you don't want to see.
One never, oh, let's go.
East Albert again.
yep, East Alberg again, with its signals.
The phone box on the pole is on the
Yeah.
pole of my house.
Oh, wow. Saved, preserved.
Yep,
Does there,
Does the phone ever ring?
Well, that's our duty.
doesn't now, the phone's
Yeah.
on, but it hasn't in a while.
The bridge is interesting. I was talking with some friends that have a camp there, and, you know, at one point, the bridge was closed, and we went under it. They said, well, we have a neighbor who has a boat, and he can't get under it. So I thought, well, you know, there wasn't very much clearance, but there's that big gear, and it's sort of primitive, but it's very interesting.
So I'll run by dispatcher and set office now.
Oh, yeah, right.
The button, it opens up and closes it.
yeah, sometimes.
Is right, exactly, according to the temperature.
When it gets hot outside, they have to go out there and do it, so.
But I had a friend of mine's father was supposed to be out there, you know, work the bridge, so. I don't know if it's like the Rutlands where you did it by hand or not.
Yes, they were.
You did?
Yep, sure did.
Wow,
Yep, crank.
okay. At least the Rutland guys got, you know, got their beer off of a fishnet as the train went by, so. Okay, next. Again, there's the corner. Now Fannie Murphy, the old call box. Oh, and that's got GH. But historically, they wanted Alberg to be spelled with an H, so that's the way it was originally. Okay? And that's the house out there, and the new paint job, so to speak.
And Bob Jones' son painted it.
Yeah.
Is that Mark there?
Oh, yeah.
That may be Mark.
That's
Mark,
Mark.
out there, the
Oh,
bridge
okay.
cutter, he painted it. Something to
And,
do.
Is that building
boy, up
gone?
close, it looks a lot bigger than you're approaching. So, okay, next. And there's another view of it. Of course, where we went in the boat was that channel right there, right through.
Is that,
You mean that's the
That-
end?
Oh.
Okay. So, hope you have a better appreciation section.